Alright guys, before I get into this, I want to talk about a passing of the voice actor of Sheen from Jimmy Neutron. I wasn't sure exactly how to start this video, but you know what, I wanted to kinda, talk about this and all that, because we've actually have lost quite a bit of celebrities this year. Now, it's not been as bad as, like a few years ago when we lost a crap ton of celebrities like Norm Macdonald, and not just that, but like, Gilbert Gottfried and all that. But we have, been losing a lot of celebrities, and this one's especially sad because he was only 50 years old. Apparently, he was having some health problems before he passed, and he ended up just passing. Now, this is a few days ago when this happened, and I couldn't really make a video about it. But not only we lost him, but we also lost the voice actor who voiced Doug Dimmadome in the news anchor on the Fairly Odd Parents. So that's actually another voice actor we've lost, for the Fairly Odd Parents. And the Fairly Odd Parents is really not that old of a show. It's not. Now, the celebrities, were a bit older, but that's kind of crazy there. But they're still not, like, super old. They, like, died in their 60s. Here, we lost, this actor. He was only 50 years old. He was a lot younger. So it's kind of a shame, he passed away. But to dedicate him and all that, I figured why not review you guys a Jimmy Neutron episode, focusing on him himself. Which is, Shane's brain. Yep, we're gonna be reviewing an episode like this. Now, I was planning on reviewing some of these episodes individually in the future anyway. But, consider that we lost a voice actor, I figured why not actually review, actually review an actual episode, focusing on the voice actor of Sheen, who is Sheen himself. Now, I won't be doing this every single time, we've had a lot of voice actors who passed away, but I figured, why not, review this, because I've already seen Jimmy Neutron and all that, so it's easier for me to kind of pick through episodes and all that, and I kind of want to review that. I could do the other celebrity, too, because not only he voiced, a couple characters, like, I said, Doug Dimmadome and the news anchor guy. I think his name was Chad or Chab or something like that. Yeah, the really small anchor guy. But he also voiced a couple aliens on Ben 10, which I thought could be kind of cool, to do something like that. But again, I don't have access to Ben 10. I mean, I can get it on streaming, but I have to pay for it. And if I'm going to buy the show, I'm going to buy it on DVD, Especially with, we don't even know what the hell is going on with, Paramount and Netflix. We don't know who's going to get it. And again, Warner Brothers could get sold off again afterwards or something like that, So I'm just I'm just going to buy it on DVD. I'm going to buy it on DVD. I guess I do have one episode on DVD. One. But, that's pretty much about it. I don't know if it has, because there is one episode I wanted to review that would have, his voice actor in it. But, It's alright, you know, I'm talking about him in this show, too. I don't know him as a person, I just know he was friends with Butch Hartman, and Butch Hartman was, let's just say he's done some questionable stuff, like, and all that. Especially with his little streaming platform thing, you know. So I don't know about, you know, how this person is as a person, you know. I'm not saying, you know, he should pass away, you know, because of that, but I'm just saying, you know, I don't know if, like, he was a great guy or, like, Butch, you know. But like I said, I don't think even Butch Hartman, like, I don't wish upon people to die like that, you know. I'm just saying, you know. I'm just saying. But like I said, I am going to try to, you know, like, review, like, some episodes from, you know, characters who have passed away. But anywho, enough about the introduction. You know, you may be thinking, though, too, why am I reviewing Shane's brain out of all the episodes, too? Because there's probably other episodes. I think there is, but this one, I'm going to tell you guys right now, this one actually does, you know, this one does, you know, actually, stand out a lot compared to the others, and I'll explain why in a second. But before I continue any further, I know I'm like 6 minutes into the video, but, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, hit notification bell, make sure you guys are still subscribed, and all that, and also you guys can follow me on Instagram /threads, and you guys can also follow me on X, or Twitter, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's called X now, but, you know, I know a lot of people still call it Twitter, you know, so, you know, I don't know. But, yeah, but anywho, now that that's all out of the way, and I guess I still have to give you guys a reward video for getting me to 600 subs, and don't worry, that's coming, but because of the holidays, you know, I'm gonna have to push it back a little bit. I'm working on it. I actually have, I have been working on the video. I haven't actually made the card yet, but I have the concept down and what I'm gonna do. And you guys are probably gonna like it. But yeah, anywho, for right now, let's go ahead and actually get into this. So, Shane's brain. This episode right here is actually quite interesting. So this episode right here is known for being very interesting because it involves a plot. You know, we see a lot of common plots like in cartoons, like a lot of times they'll have, like, a character moving in, or they'll have a character forgetting their anniversary, you know, like the character, you know, hating, you know, somebody because they moved in, you know, and all that, and then, like I said, the forgetting the anniversary, you know, which are not always great plots. Honestly, the anniversary thing I hate, because, pretty much most of the time, someone forgets someone's anniversary and they make him look like an asshole, which I freaking cannot stand. But we got that. And then you know, also we got plots like, you know, we got a lot of plots where you know, sometimes, you know, like, friends will, like, you know, I said, they'll hate each other or something, and then, you know, they'll, like, you know, they'll like, the main character has to, like, decide which one they want, you know, a lot of plots like that. Even though hating the neighbor thing is an overdone trope, but one trope they do a lot, but not, like, as much, I've noticed, is, a trope where they make a main character actually smart. No, they do that. They actually do it a little bit, but not, like, it's not as common. It's not as common. Like, I mean, they did this with SpongeBob, and then, like, they did this with, like, SpongeBob and all, and then, like, you know, and all, and I guess they did this with, like, the Fairly Odd Parents, too. So I guess it's a little bit common, but it's, like, definitely not overdone, like I said, a plot where, like, where, like, somebody, forgets their anniversary or something like that, or, or, like I said, a hating a neighbor plot, and they gotta, like, focus around a lot of that in a cartoon. But this plot right here, I do like it when it works. But sometimes I do think they can screw it up if they make the characters kind of unlikable, or this or that. Sorry, too, if I'm coughing. I got, like, allergies or something, But I was gonna say, in this episode, though, I actually really like, actually kind of what they do here. So Shane is not very, we all know Shane. He's very weird, and, he kind of is mindless. He's like Carl, when it comes to stupidity, only I actually like him. I don't like Carl that much. I think I mentioned that when I reviewed the show. But yeah, I do not like Carl. Carl is just kind of annoying, but, like, I like Shane. Shane's pretty funny. However, in this episode, apparently he is having a hard time with, having a hard time with, trying to, like, well, he's having a hard time, with trying to, take a test. Which, we all can relate to. Honestly, freaking tests in school are not that, are not great. I mean, yeah, I get they're supposed to help us learn, but honestly, I don't really see the point of taking tests, because then I feel like it puts more pressure on people and students, but, I think you should just be, give them homework or something, but, I don't think there should be tests, but that's just my opinion, because I do think it gives out more stress. And I mean, to be fair, in the freaking real world, you're gonna probably forget a lot of the stuff you learned anyway, so I don't really see why they need to, give you tests, but I guess to help it stick in your brain maybe better. I don't know. I have a lot of, relatives and all that who kind of forget half of the stuff they learn in school, so I'm like, I don't know. Because then, it causes you to fail, But I don't know. But because Shane, again, is an idiot, he's not smart, he's an idiot. He's not smart at all. They basically, he's failing his classes. And I like that, Jimmy, helps, Jimmy, helps, his friend out. And because he's so stupid and gets sidetracked so easily with TV, they decide to have, him wear this brain-draining helmet. That's something the show does a lot, by the way. They will actually bring back a lot of older, gadgets and stuff. I mean, shows like Johnny Test kind of do that too. The Fairly Odd Parents actually did that too for a while, I believe, and then they kind of, forgot about a lot of that stuff. They kind of forgot about it. But, that's kind of nice. They brought back the brain training helmet, but instead of, instead of it, draining, his brain, it actually makes it, grow. Honestly, I don't even know, can it even drain it any further? I mean, I don't know, can it drain it any further? I mean, I guess to be fair, Shane, still has some, can still talk and all that. The brain drainer thing that doesn't even, allow I mean, they can talk, but they kind of just, you just say the phrase, I'm loopy, and I'm loopy, instead of actually, not talking at all, but their brains, like, not functioning at all. His brain can function, I don't know. That is kind of weird, but, what happens, though, is his brain ends up working. However, it actually takes an interesting twist that, a lot of people who watch the show may not see coming. So instead of making him a smart ass, they actually, make him a villain. Yeah, I'm not kidding. They literally freaking make Sheen an actual villain. And not only that, but we have to worry about his head getting bigger and bigger to the point where if Jimmy and Carl don't save him in time, his head will blow up. Which, that's freaking crazy. But I like that. And I like that they actually give him, I don't like the design of seeing his brain, veins on his head. I think that's a little bit too much for me, but it's not like we see a lot throughout the entire episode, which, by the way, this episode apparently is a two-parter. It's, so instead of an 11-minute episode, it's actually a 22-minute episode, which is interesting. But yeah, boy, do they, find a way to make it, entertaining, But like I said, he starts to become more and more smarter, and his head starts to grow more. He becomes more powerful, but also somehow can control the weather, which is crazy. But also, like I said, he's at risk of getting killed. So that's the thing, Jimmy and Carl could just let him die, and then everybody would be saved. But the fact that Jimmy cares about, Jimmy and Carl care about, Shane and all that, that's pretty nice. It shows that they, really care about him and all that. But I like, too, that they dress up as Ultra Lord, who is voiced by, I forget the name of the actor, I think it's Jim something, but he voices, Pete the cat from Mickey Mouse, and he voices, Tigger. He's a pretty good voice actor. But yeah, he voices a lot of characters, and I love that. I love that, we get to see all that, it's really nice. But yeah, like I said, though, it's basically, he will become, like I said, they have to, save him and all that, but yeah, he comes to the point where, again, he becomes so smart, he's even smarter than Jimmy, and Jimmy's pretty smart. And all that, which, Cindy, on the show is she's, jealous of, so she's gonna be jealous of, Shane, too. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, though, I don't really like Cindy a bunch on this show, either. I don't know if I brought that up, I talked about how a lot of the side characters are kind of just, they're just there, I don't really care about them as much. How this show has really good villains, but the side characters are kind of just there. That's kind of, with Sydney and Carl, I just don't like. I think I don't know, I'm kind of debating if I hate Sydney or Carl more. Sydney is just I hate how throughout the entire show, she just constantly bitches about, how Jimmy screws something up. That's what she does in this episode. That's all she exists for. She just, just bitches about, he screwed up this, and he was just trying to help his friend. She doesn't have to be a bitch about it, come on. I get she's jealous of Jimmy, being better than her, but also, I just feel, I kind of hate having to listen to that throughout the entire series, and I remember, too, they try to, at some point, too, they'll try to, hook them up, But, it just doesn't work, And I mean, this could be kind of spoiling it a little bit, but, but I think at this point in the show, they kind of already were starting to kind of do that a little bit, But yeah, I don't know, but aside from that, though, I'm a little sad, like, Livy and all that. Like, I like how Shane makes her, like I think they make her the queen and all that. And at first, she refuses to join him until he offers her some, like, what was it, jewelry or something like that. But she actually cares that he's hurting, his friends. I mean, she cares about that, Where Sydney probably wouldn't care at all. I mean, let's be fair here. I think Sydney would be upset if Jimmy did die. Because like I said, she's just jealous. She's just kind of, jealous of him, and acts like she hates what he does. But I think deep down she does like it. Which, again, would be a good concept, but it doesn't work as well. But again, like Livy and, Shane, though, I do like their relationship in the episode and throughout the show. But yeah, that's kind of funny. But I like how at some point she just kind of gets fed up with his BS and then, it's pretty funny. But yeah, this episode, though, is definitely really good. I really like this episode a lot, I do. Definitely a very good episode. We're going to go ahead and give this one a good. And not just a good, but we're going to give it 120 points. Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this episode. I like that, they kind of put their own twist on it. And so, again, instead of making Shane kind of a smart ass, they actually do something interesting and make him like a superpowered being who apparently can, like, again, shoot crap out of his head and all that. It's really funny. It's really good. Definitely a very good, episode. Definitely very good. But yeah, Shane in this show is really good. Now I heard that, I know they got a spin-off of Shane, called Planet Shane. But I hear that show is pretty bad. I haven't really seen a lot of it. It came on at times, on Nickelodeon. But even if I've seen the show and it actually is bad, I would like to review something that's not as bad. And that's kind of why I reviewed this episode too, because, if I'm going to be reviewing something, I want to be reviewing something good for this voice actor. Now, I want to clarify, too, that he also has voiced other stuff, too, like in Barnyard and all that. But, that's not really, he voices the mouse, but that's not really anything in there. It's just the mouse character. He doesn't really, voice, he doesn't do any voice of the main characters, so, and I don't know if there's any episodes where, I don't remember episodes where I've seen just him in it. Somebody said, too, I don't know if this is true, but I saw something online about there being, was there a spin-off of Pip 2 or something? I'm like, wait a minute, is there really? Because I've never heard of that. I heard of Planet Shane, but not that. That's kind of weird, but, I don't know. I really do not know. But, yeah, I don't know. That a lot of things don't surprise me much anymore. But, to be fair, I also didn't know there was a Rugrats, preschool show either, so there's that. But, that's pretty much all I have. Yeah, I was gonna say before I let the video go, I was gonna say, there was, a short-lived, it had, I think, 4 or 7 episodes around there, or it did not last that long at all, and it was canceled. It was called Rugrats Preschool Days. You know, there was actually a lot of stuff, but it was even like apparently going to be a spin-off with Susie from Rugrats too. I have her own spin-off too, but that never happened either. That was actually something I didn't get off the ground. I don't think. Like, I don't know if there was a pilot or anything. I don't know. There's some weird stuff there, but I hear a lot of lore about like Disney and their stuff, and not a lot of lore about like Paramount or Nickelodeon or something. That'd be kind of interesting to see. I mean, I see some like Blue's Clues and all that, and like a little bit of SpongeBob, but I mean, some Fairly Odd Parents stuff, but not like a lot, you know, of like some of their, you know, unaired, you know, stuff. But, you know, I don't know. But it is pretty nice to have all that, but I will go ahead and let the video go. I definitely hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I wanted to dedicate this to the memory of the voice actor of Sheen, you know, because it's sad again, he passed away so young. But, and I would do the other, like, character too, because I've seen a lot of stuff with him in it, but I don't really know, like, what episodes to do. I mean, there's a couple Fairly Odd Parent episodes I could do, but, you know, but I kind of want to save those reviews for when I actually review the actual show. And Ben 10, you know, because, you know, I mean, like, there are some shows, like, I will do individual episodes, you know, and then some I'll just review the entire show. And usually those are, like, where I have more to say about them, you know, because, I mean, there will be some episodes I probably won't review of some shows, just because there's not really a lot to talk about. I mean, maybe I might, like, I don't know, but, you know, I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm at there, but anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Dash Rose, out.